The NBA has seen many great shooting guards in its 70 years of existence, and I thought why not make a list of who I think makes the top 5 shooting guards in the last 3 decades. And I only say the last 3 decades because I know literally nothing about the NBA from before the 90s. Obviously I know about Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Kareem, Wilt and Bill Russell, aka Mr. 11 Rings, but aside from the recognizable names and the teams they played for, I can't really say I know anything about that era or anything before. So due to the explanations I've just given, I'm going to select my top 5 shooting guards in the past 3 decades, so from the 90s to today. Just before I get into the list, I want to say that this list was so hard to make because there were so many all-time greats to select from. But after a very long time of looking at the statistics and individual and collective successes these players have achieved in their careers, I managed to cut down my initial 15-man list to a list of the 5 most elite shooting guards in recent history. Before I name these 5 elite players, I want to give some honorable mentions to some of the players that just about missed out. So the first player I'm going to look at that didn't make the top 5 shooting guards is all-time great Reggie Miller, who spent his entire 18-year career with the Indiana Pacers. Reggie Miller played in the NBA from 1987 to 2005, and he is known for so many things, such as being a sharp 3-point shooter, his trash talking, which included the infamous choke sign he gave well-known Knicks fan Spike Lee, and of course scoring 8 points in 9 seconds to stun the New York Knicks during a playoff game in Madison Square Garden. Amazing stuff, right? Reggie Miller previously held the all-time record for the most threes made in a career with 2,560 until elite marksman Ray Allen took the title back in 2011. Speaking of Ray Allen, well, you'll see later. Back to Reggie Miller. He made 39.5% of his three-pointers and led the NBA in free throw shooting on 5 separate occasions, and his career averages were 18.2 points per game, 3 rebounds per game, 3 assists per game, 1.1 steals per game and 0.2 blocks per game. His ultimate season average is 24.6 points per game, 3.9 rebounds per game, 4 assists per game, 1.5 steals per game and 0.4 blocks per game. However, the reason why the Hall of Famer missed out on the top 5 is because he was a 3-point specialist and did not really stand out on any other part of his game. He wasn't that elite of a rebounder, passer or defender, not to mention that he has never won a championship, and that is why I couldn't put him on my top 5 players at the shooting guard position. The other player who I want to give an honourable mention to that did not make my list of the top 5 shooting guards is Tracy McGrady. T-Mac has played for the Raptors, the Magic, the Rockets, the Knicks, the Pistons, the Hawks and the San Antonio Spurs in his 16-year career, which started in 1997 and ended in 2013. The very unfortunate thing about T-Mac's career is that he struggled so much in the postseason, and although he did qualify for the playoffs 9 times in his entire career, he only made it past the very first round once, and that was in his final NBA season where he spent most of his time on the San Antonio Spurs bench. And even when he did make it past the first round in the playoffs in 2013, he only played a total of 31 minutes during their entire run to the NBA Finals. But don't think T-Mac failing to go past the first round was due to his lack of talent, but simply because he was never put in the right situation to succeed when he was at the peak of his career. When he was at his best, T-Mac was literally unstoppable. During the 02-03 season, he averaged 32.1 points, 6.5 rebounds and 5.5 assists per game, and that was statistically better than the best player in the NBA at the time, who was Kobe Bryant. His career averages are 19.6 points, 5.6 rebounds, 4.4 assists, 1.2 steals and 0.9 blocks, which is pretty good, but unfortunately, partly due to the numerous injuries he had in his prime, T-Mac was never able to win a ring, and in terms of team success, he is below average and therefore didn't make it into my top 5 shooting guards. Now enough of that, let's get to business. The 5th best shooting guard in the last 3 decades in my opinion is Ray Allen, who played in the NBA from 1996 to 2014 and was part of that great 1996 draft class which included other stars like Kobe Bryant, Allen Iverson and Steve Nash. Ray Allen played for the Bucks, Supersonics, Celtics and Heat and holds the record for most threes made in a career, as I said earlier, but that's not all to it. In his prime, Allen was an athletic freak of nature who was both entertaining and productive, and that was clear with the numbers of insane slam dunks this guy did. He was also solid in defense and was a great two-way player to have in your team. When he played in the NBA Finals with the Heat against the Spurs in 2013, Allen hit, in my opinion, the most important shot in NBA history, as he single-handedly saved the career of LeBron James. If Allen hadn't scored that 3 in the dying moments of that Game 6, then LeBron would have lost 3 out of 4 NBA Finals at the time, and wouldn't have had the double with the Heat, and the whole of the NBA could potentially have been different, and we don't know if he would have recovered from that loss. That shot just showed how clutch Ray Allen was even after 17 years of playing in the NBA. His career averages are 18.9 points per game, 4.1 rebounds per game, 3.4 assists per game, 1.1 steals per game, and 0.2 blocks per game, and his ultimate season averages are 26.4 points per game, 5.2 rebounds per game, 4.8 assists per game, 1.5 steals per game, and 0.3 blocks per game. Overall, Ray Allen is just a player that was such an unsung hero in some occasions. The fourth best shooting guard in the last 30 years is 76ers great and recent inductee to the Hall of Fame, Allen Iverson. The answer played in the NBA from 1996 to 2010 and spent his career with 4 different teams: the 76ers, the Nuggets, the Pistons, and the Grizzlies. Being only 6 foot tall, he was a motivation to all the young NBA stars who were being written off due to their height, much like Isaiah Thomas today, and his ankle-breaking crossovers put his opponents to sleep. Iverson averaged at least 30 points per game during 4 distinct seasons and won the same number of scoring titles. Iverson is one of the greatest offensive talents the sport has ever seen, and he flat out carried his team far too often for us to belittle his low shooting percentages and career contributions that were brought down by his non-peak years. Allen Iverson averaged 26.7 points per game, 3.7 rebounds per game, 6.2 assists per game, 2.2 steals per game, and 0.2 blocks per game, and for his ultimate season he averaged 33 points per game, 4.9 rebounds per game, 7.9 assists per game, 2.8 steals per game, and 0.3 blocks per game. Allen Iverson was one of the first players to proudly don distinctive hairstyles and tattoos, and was someone who didn't care about what was being said about him. He was a very controversial player and did not really believe in practice, nor did he have much playoff success, and he's never won an NBA championship. However, despite all of his flaws, Iverson was one of the greatest offensive players in NBA history and a pleasure to watch by all NBA fans. Being recently inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame alongside other NBA greats like Shaquille O'Neal and Yao Ming solidifies the answer's greatness. Now moving on to the number 3 spot, and here we've got the only active player in this list, who is Dwayne Wade, who recently moved back to his hometown of Chicago to play for his childhood team, the Bulls. Early in his career, he was undoubtedly the main man in Miami, developing into a superstar well known for his pump fakes, euro steps, and rim attacks to bring success for his team. Having led the league in scoring during the 08-09 season, averaging 30.2 points per game, D-Wade is, in my opinion, the greatest player to have worn the Miami Heat jersey, bringing them 3 NBA championships, obviously with a bit of help from teammates like Shaq and LeBron respectively. Wade is the best shot blocking guard of all time and arguably the most elite distributing shooting guard the sport has ever seen, and he still has many years left in his career, although we do not know what to expect of Wade in Chicago. Wade at his best is an absolute beast of a player, one who could carry the offensive load and still function as a defensive stopper, but with those dodgy knees forcing his career to slightly decline, it's very hard to predict what kind of success he can bring for his hometown. In the 13 years spent in South Beach, Wade averaged 23.7 points, 4.8 rebounds, 5.8 assists, 1.7 steals, and 0.9 blocks per game. And in his ultimate season, he averaged 30.2 points, 6.4 rebounds, 7.5 assists, 2.2 steals, and 1.3 blocks. All of the points are made provide a strong case for me putting him as number 3 in this list. Now, for the top 2 shooting guards in my opinion, you guys already know who the number 1 and number 2 is. For number 2, we've got Kobe Bryant, aka The Bean, aka The Black Mamba, aka Mr. 5 Rings, aka Mr. I Don't Pass the Ball. The man who spent his entire 20-year career with the Lakers was feared and admired by every one of his opponents. Having averaged just over 25 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, and 5 assists per game, he is the highest scorer in Lakers history. Obviously Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who holds the record for highest scorer in NBA history, played for the Bucks as well as the Lakers. And that title itself is an honor to have for Kobe Bryant. To think that no Laker, from Wilt Chamberlain to Magic Johnson and Jerry West to Kareem himself, has scored more points in a Lakers jersey than Kobe Bryant is mind-blowing, and Kobe has put together a remarkable legacy ever since leaving Lower Merion High School 2 decades ago. Bryant has been one of the league's top scorers for over a decade, scoring 81 points on one occasion, and his injury-plagued 2013-14 season, one in which he was limited to just 6 games, was the first time he had failed to average at least 24 points per game since the 1999-2000 season. He even won back-to-back scoring crowns in the mid-2000s, won by averaging a remarkable 35.4 points per game. He's the guy with the never-die mentality who proved that he didn't need Shaq to win championships, proving so by winning the 2009 and 2010 finals with Pau Gasol. Although the last few seasons of his extraordinary career did see him go through a lot of struggles, what better way to finish your career than with a historic 60-point performance to see off your career? Kobe Bryant has been a form of motivation for so many current NBA stars, such as Paul George of the Indiana Pacers and Kyrie Irving of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and has left a legacy that will never be forgotten. Finally, the moment you've all been waiting for. The number one spot in this list goes to JaVale McGee. Nah, just kidding. It's obviously Michael Jordan, who is considered by many NBA fans as the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Michael Jordan was a ferocious fighter on the court and an avid trash talker. Although you could argue that LeBron James is a better all-round player, MJ's scoring is second to none. His career averages speak for themselves. 30 points, 6.2 rebounds, 5.3 assists, 2.3 steals, and 1 block per game is unbelievable. And someone averaging that in an entire season in today's game is considered good. Imagine averaging that throughout the whole of your career. He's led his team to 6 NBA championships, being 6-0 in the finals, and his value was shown when the Bulls didn't even make it into the finals after he retired for 2 seasons, following his father's death. Although some of the refereeing decisions in that series with the Knicks was very questionable, especially the one involving Scottie Pippen. However, the very season MJ returned to the Bulls won a championship and did so for another 2 straight seasons. His ultimate season would have seen him average 37 points, 8 rebounds and 8 assists per game. I think it's good to see Michael Jordan still getting involved within the basketball community by owning the Charlotte Hornets and also through his Jordan's brand, because so many greats just drift away from the community when they call it quits. Anyhow, Michael Jordan is the best shooting guard and player of all time without question, and that's why he tops my list. That's all for the video. Please leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and peace.